Welcome to Off the Cut episode 124 for Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. And I actually just, Zach, I just got off the phone with my grandmother earlier.
Oh,
and you know what she told me?
No, what'd she tell you?
She told me that the best place to buy woodworking tools is kmtools.com.
Oh, even your grandma knows that is the premier place to buy woodworking tools.
Sure is. I mean, tools like the Cat's Moses stop block, the infamous dovetail jig, the new bourbon blade.
What about the aprons? Tell them about the aprons.
Oh, dude. I actually have 3 aprons.
Oh, really?
I have 3 of them.
Okay.
Because Jonathan saw my first apron that's absolutely destroyed. I mean, it's covered in like epoxy. He's like, I'll send you another one.
Interesting.
I still have the first one.
And the third? Where'd the third come from?
I don't know, to be honest
Just
with
mystery.
you. Yeah. I mean, for all I know, I could have ordered it myself.
Do you think that was a selfish move on his part? Was he like, ooh, Eric's out there making my apron look bad, so I'm going to send him a new one just to keep them fresh and keep it looking good?
But here's the thing. Actually, I want to talk about this a little bit more. Let's finish the ad read first.
Okay.
Circle back on this. So everything that was over at kmtools.com is made for woodworkers by woodworkers. And Zach's favorite phrase is,
if it's in their shop, it's in their shop, because either it's something that they made or it's a product that they actually use in their shops.
Exactly. It's good. It's all good stuff, not a bunch of crap. And best part is a portion of all of their sales goes directly towards the Cat's Moses Woodworkers with Disabilities Fund. So the folks that need the help and the resources the most have access to it.
And a small portion of every sale, I'm guessing a very small portion, goes to the listeners of this podcast, because every month we do a $50. I had to check myself for a second. I was like,
$500.
No, I was thinking, is it every month or every quarter? But no, Jonathan's crazy, and it's actually every single month. The listeners of this podcast get not every single one. We pick one random to get a $50 gift card.
Right. And all you have to do to get that is sign up over on patreon.com/off the gut podcast. And you're automatically entered to win at any tier level. And actually, Zach, I don't know if you know this. Our last month's winner, Corey Duvall, won. So I set up a thread with, all the necessary parties. And Corey responds with, hey, can we just donate that money to the Cat's Moses Woodworkers with Disabilities Fund? What a cool act.
Why is Corey such a good person? He's making me feel bad about what a scumbag I am.
I know. I know. I was like, so if you think that woodworkers are turds, look at that. We got people in our audience wanting to give back, not even trying to pocket that $50.
Wow.
Corey's a stand-up guy. And Corey's also trying to get me to buy a house next door to him.
Oh, nice. You guys could be neighbors. Well, that'd be bad for you, though, because you'd have to live next to such a shining example all the time. He'd probably have a perfectly manicured lawn, and you'd have like tires and broken cars on your lawn.
Yeah. But so I'm going to get back to what you're saying about the apron.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do the apron.
So ad read over. Now we're starting the podcast.
Actually, wait, hold on.
Oh. Raspberry?
Cherry, I think. Yeah, cherry.
Okay, it looks a little purple. I'm used to my cherry bubbly can being a little more red. Okay, it was just a reflection. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's, also
it was a reflection from your
white
monitor.
balance or something.
Yeah. Okay. So, how is it?
Oh, it's delicious. It's crisp. It's so cold.
I'm drinking a child-sized Gatorade tonight.
Okay.
Apple Burst. I've never heard of this flavor. It's good.
Okay. I try to do Gatorade. I have this weird thing where if I see like a novelty new flavor of anything, I have to try it. Yeah. So I was at a gas station, like a pit stop on the side of the road, and I saw a vending machine with a new Gatorade in it. It's like, I got to try it. And it was horrible. It was like real fruit Gatorade. I can't remember what the flavor was, but it was just bad. Like it was so aspartame. It was so aspartame-y.
Oh, yeah. See, this is Gatorade Zero, and it's sucralose, so it's not the aspartame.
Oh, interesting.
So it's
Maybe it's
don't
better.
get me started on artificial sweeteners. I think that's a
Yeah.
scam.
That's a good conspiracy theory, actually.
It is. But anyway, so back to more making related topics. So you had mentioned or I guess I had mentioned the
apron,
the Cosmosis Tools apron. Ad. This is not part of the ad read. It's genuine conversation. So mine is absolutely. I'm not going to say destroyed because like the buckle, like it works flawlessly. It's just covered with stuff like glue and whatnot.
Anytime you're working in the shop, you get like a little bit of glue on your hand. What's the first thing you do? You
wipe it on the apron.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so, I'm wearing it and whatnot. And then Jonathan's like, let me send you a refresh, make it look nice and whatnot. And I get to thinking, what do you think is a better look for a product? One that is brand new, pristine, no scratches, no signs of wear, or
great question.
One that is just covered with stuff.
Yeah. I think the one that's covered in stuff. Well, I mean, there's probably some upward limit on how covered something could be. Right. But the one that like looks lived in and used is going to actually reflect that the person actually cares about, like actually uses it. If it's pristine, it looks like it just came out of the box. It's like, okay, this is obviously product placement.
Right. That's what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah, they don't actually use the thing. They're just putting it on for the sake of putting it on. Like especially to have it be there.
For things like workwear, for like boots or something. Somebody's like, these are the most comfortable work boots I've ever worn. And they're doing some sort of promo reel for that. And it's like, these are brand new boots. Like you haven't even worn these a full day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems disingenuous.
It does. It's interesting though, because like we've both been on the other side of it. Like I even did I think it was a thing for Timberland, and I had a pair of Timberland boots that I loved that I was currently wearing. And they were like, let us send you a brand new pair so they look better on camera. So I did exactly what you're talking about. I put on these like brand new boots that like weren't even broken in, and then took a bunch of photos with them when I had a pair of Timberland boots that were like my boots that I actually liked.
And so maybe a way that you could have done that, but we've both been in that specific position and know that you're not able to do that. It's like almost like here, like hold up to the camera. Here are the Timberland boots I've been wearing for 84 years. I absolutely love these. So recently Timberland wanted me to test out their new boots.
Yeah.
Like that would be an okay transition.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they still don't want that.
No, they never would do. The only company that I've ever dealt with that actually was kind of hip to that line of thinking was AG1. They were like, in the media brief that I got or whatever from them, there was a big thing that said, do not unbox. We want to see the product like in your fridge and like, have it be like halfway like used, and like, don't make it look pristine and brand new. We want to, like, we want to see that you've actually been using it.
Which, I mean, that makes sense, right? Because you're going to gain more trust and authority that way, as opposed to just being like, here's something I just took out of the box. I love it. It's like,
exactly. I'm surprised more companies aren't hip to it. But then again, as a consumer, I watch a lot of YouTube videos and I never really analyze like, oh, does that look new or does that look used? I don't know. I never really get that deep on it.
Yeah, but I mean, so think of your typical media, like commercials on TV and stuff.
Yeah,
you always remember the item being brand spanking new.
Totally. Could you imagine car commercials if the cars were like all beat up?
Had hail damage, had like goldfish in the seats and stuff.
It's got like mismatched wheels, some rust poking through the side of it,
missing the cap.
Yeah.
Somebody curbed one of the tires.
Yeah. It's like, realistically, this is what your car will look like after 2 years of ownership.
Why is it in car commercials especially?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Excuse me. Gatorade coming back on you.
Why do they try to paint these unrealistic scenarios on cars. Like it'll be like introducing the 2025 Toyota Prius for all of your off-road sport driving needs. It's like,
totally.
what?
And then it's like 10 seconds of just watching a Prius hit a ramp from different directions.
Yeah.
It's, like it's jumping over logs in the forest and stuff like that.
And then somebody's camping in it and then like hauling 6 boats in the Prius. It's like, why don't they just make it like you're sitting at a stoplight and you wave everybody through and you're like, oh no, it's your turn. You're good. You're good. I'll wait.
Well, I think what happens is they have these marketing meetings and they're like, you know what demographic we're killing it in? The demographic of people who just wave people through the intersection. So we do not need to advertise to them. Our dollars will be wasted trying to reach that group. We need to reach rugged outdoorsy people. How can we do that?
Sense.
And then they brainstorm like, okay, well, let's just have the Prius jump over logs in the forest and somebody camping at the back of it.
That makes a lot of sense.
But I don't think like that doesn't work because people aren't stupid. You'll never convince somebody to buy a Prius to go off-roading.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever watched a car commercial and then thought to yourself, damn, I've got to buy that new Mazda?
Literally never.
Right? Like,
literally never.
Who is being influenced by car commercials?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Like, I'll see a car on the road and be like, oh, that's a pretty neat car. Yeah. I should look more into that or whatever.
Well, and I'm a car guy too. So like I like cars and I'm always kind of on the lookout for, like I think about like, I'm going to upgrade to this or I'm going to maybe get that one day. And I'll always know, like I'll never be finding out about a new car from a commercial. Like if it's something that I'm interested in, I've already researched it like months and months before I'll see a commercial.
Right.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, I guess, I don't know. There's some normies out there. Maybe like think about like our parents or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even then, I feel like, I don't know. Some of the marketing dollars that get spent, it's like, how much ROI are you really getting on that?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started the whole social media thing, I think I used to have a vastly different perspective on it. I was thinking like being a quote unquote influencer,
right? You
like convert people immediately to buying something. Mm-hmm, like somebody sees your YouTube video about you using this tool, they go and they immediately order it because they think it's so cool. I think that is like a vanishingly small, like we can see the behind the scenes thing. If your conversion rate is like 0.1%, you're like, damn, that's crazy.
Right.
Right?
If I put an Amazon link, it's like unbelievably small amount of people would purchase that.
Exactly. So there's very little direct conversion. But I think a lot of what marketing and advertising is just like brand awareness. They want people to be like, well, I don't need a big battery bank right now, but 6 months, a year down the line, when they're like, oh, I'm going on a camping trip, I could use a battery bank. What was that one that I saw in that YouTube video 6 months ago or a year ago or whatever? Was it the Jackery or was it the DJI one? Or you know what I mean? It's just trying to like plant those seeds in people's heads for later.
Or like can you think of a category of product that you know nothing about, but there's one name that sticks out to you?
I'm sure I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I think that's half of you don't even know it's in there, but all of a sudden you're shopping for socks and you're like, ooh, Hanes, like they make the best socks.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Or like if I were shopping for jewelry, so like before I was looking for an engagement ring, I was like, I don't know where the hell I would go for an engagement ring, right?
Yeah.
Now I was like, oh, well, I've heard of Tiffany. I should go there. And then I'm like, yeah, no. But you know what I mean?
Prices.
Like, I'm sure I've never gone and researched that stuff, but I've probably been inundated with just brand awareness at some level, and it was
Totally.
in my brain. That was the first place I went.
Totally. And the
Hmm.
really diabolical thing that this, and they get into like predictive things. So, maybe if Google is analyzing your email traffic and they
Oh
see,
no.
okay, Eric is like communicating with a bunch of potential wedding venues, then
Right.
they start hitting you with all the honeymoon ads and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. The brand awareness thing, it makes a lot of sense, but I don't know. Like, I'm trying to imagine if I were in a marketing role,
Hmm.
how I would possibly pitch or sell that to my my manager, my boss, my corporate, to be like, here's what we're going to do and here's the return that we're going to get. Like, I feel like there's no quantitative
Yeah.
indicator of the success of that campaign.
Yeah. I think it's very, very nebulous and it's very kind of, I don't know. You kind of almost have to trust the system, right? Like, look, I'm telling you, if we spend $1 million, we're going to see an increase in sales and it's not even going to be all at once. It's going to be over the course of like the next 3-4 years or whatever it is.
But you're going to have a whole variety of other marketing campaigns that went along
Totally.
with,
Yeah.
potentially it's at the same time as that other campaign. Your sales might progressively be raising up, but there's no way to say that, oh, it was excuse me, the campaign that Zach was working on that really did it for us. So how do I know that I want to keep you on as my employee?
That's the thing. It's like it's really noisy data, right?
Yeah.
So to be able to sort through that, I don't know. I think it's a lot of it honestly probably comes down to gut feel at the end of the day. I had a friend who worked for Facebook, and there they were doing a lot more like direct conversion sales. Like he helped do the ad sales for like the banners on the side of Facebook and stuff
Right.
like that. So he actually knew pretty clearly like what the conversion rates are, because if somebody clicks the banner and then goes to the
Right.
website and then makes a purchase, they track it the whole way through. They don't just
Exactly.
lose you the second you click through it. So there's actually like a very clear data. But I think in more traditional advertising like magazines, billboards, advertising with YouTubers, it's pretty fuzzy. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how closely they can actually track it.
It's very interesting. And I don't know. I'm just, I guess where the question comes is like, let's say you were starting a brand new business tomorrow and you were selling pencil sharpeners. I don't know.
Hmm.
What marketing efforts would you take? Would you go to YouTube? Would you do influencers? Like
Yeah,
what do you
that's a
think
great
you would go
question.
for?
I think, well, it would really depend on the scale of the business. And Suman's chiming in the live chat too. I think it also depends on what the item is. So for
Yeah.
like say you're starting a pencil company, that's like low cost, high volume. Like you need to move a lot of pencils,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you don't have a lot of margin on them. So there, I don't know. Like I'm not sure what the best like I don't know avenue to pursue would be. But if it were something big like a car, then I don't. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure.
So with a car, I feel like you could get some traffic, no pun intended, with like giving it out to some sort of influencer or like renting it out to influencers like you did with Infinity like a year or two ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Where people are like, oh man, Zach's driving this new car. I should check it out. It's got to be a cool car.
I hope nobody cares what, what car I'm driving.
Oh, come on.
It's so weird to think about the opposite side though. It's like, and I'm sure it's not as simple as that. It's not like, hey, Zach drives it, so therefore I'll buy it. I think again, like we were saying before, it's more like, oh, I didn't know Infinity made a big luxury 7-seater. Like, oh, it's kind of nice on the inside. All right, maybe I'll think about that next time I'm looking to upgrade the old family car.
Yeah, it's not a direct conversion
Yeah,
right there. It's
yeah.
indirect conversion. Maybe 4 or 5 years down the line, they're like, oh, I need a 7-seater. Oh, I do remember that Zach did that thing for Infinity. I should check it out.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's kind of And yeah, I mean, honestly, what they paid me to do that Instagram campaign is probably like the margin on one of those vehicles, right?
Right.
So if they sell even one at any point after from that, they've made
They
back
win.
the
Yeah.
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 So yeah, I kind of get it. And they're and they do campaigns, right? So obviously they're not just working with me; they're working with I don't know, however many other creators, 10 other creators, 20 other creators, maybe 50 other creators.
That makes sense.
So
I don't know. The marketing thing, it's gotten me just wondering, like, man, how do people justify some of these things?
totally. Well, I mean, look, it's all the time you spent in school becoming an engineer. There's somebody who did a similar amount of time for marketing, right? So
Yeah.
I to some degree it is a well understood science. Like
Yeah.
they have years and years of data and looking back on what worked in the past for other companies and what didn't, and yeah.
Oh, so I got a question for you. It's just you just made me think of this. If you were forced to go to college right
Mm,
now, like
mhm.
starting Monday, you were
Yeah,
forced to go to college. You
yeah,
had to get a 4-year master's, a doctorate, whatever degree.
yeah.
What would you go for?
That's a good question. And I'm assuming like I have my current degree,
Yeah,
like
you
I'm
have
going back for
your
another one.
same mindset. Like you have your current degree, whatever.
Yeah, I have two
Okay.
answers. I might do some sort of like English degree
Okay.
so I could get a better handle on storytelling and like knowing the
Mm,
nuts and bolts behind the scene of like how to craft a good story
yeah.
and those types of things. And then also maybe pursue some sort of like film theory degree.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Huh.
for much the same reason, maybe it's basically like how to better use the medium of video to create.
So the first thing I find interesting is that you picked a course, a path that is directly applicable to what you're doing right now. So it
Yeah,
basically is how you would improve what you're doing right now.
yeah. I try and skill up like what I'm currently doing.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
I would pick the exact same idea. Like I
No,
would go.
dude, come on, you can't do that. You can't cheat off my
No, no, no,
exam.
no, no. I'm saying I would pick the exact same idea as far as like trying to go towards something that would improve what I'm currently
Oh,
doing.
I
Like
see. Okay, okay.
I wouldn't be like, I'm gonna go for biology.
Yeah.
But no, I would go for I would honestly, I think I'd probably go for marketing and business
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Or
Business sorry to
no, no,
cut
you
you
go
off,
ahead.
but business is one of those things. It's like if you're 17, so all the 17-year-old listeners listening to this right now, all two of you, and you don't know what you want to do in university, I think business is a great option because it gives you the fundamental skills to operate a business in any field. So if you
Yeah,
decide that you are super passionate about making YouTube videos or about woodworking, all of a sudden you have all the back end
sure.
skills for how to run one of those businesses. You still have to obviously learn the woodworking, but in some ways that's like there's a lot of really good woodworkers out there who weren't able to get the business side of things going
Oh
and
yeah.
turn their passion into a sustainable business.
And then look at people like you, me, Jason Bent,
Yep.
Suman that all suck at woodworking
Yep.
and we're able to make a reasonable business out of it.
Mhm.
You know?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
anybody can fake it as long
Yeah.
as you know how to do the business.
That's right. That's right. No, I think marketing's and when I was in business school, there was a marketing major that you could have done. So
Oh,
you could get exposure to a lot of entrepreneurial stuff while still maintaining a focus on the marketing side of things.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I would definitely consider it if it wasn't for a massive investment in both time and money.
Yeah, that's what's the line from Good Will Hunting? He's like, I got the same education you did, but for like $3 in late fees at the library.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you like, unless you really need the diploma, I think you can learn all of these things outside of the university system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're like me, Zach, that you predominantly read nonfiction, don't you?
Yeah. I'm like 50-50, I'd say. I go in phases. I do like to read nonfiction, but sometimes I'm like, give me a good sci-fi book or something like that.
Like if you're like zoning out on the beach or just sitting on the couch in the night, you're like, oh, read a little fiction.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but you can read so much awesome stuff and learn so much great stuff for just like you said, a book that you rent at the library.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially now you can get the audiobooks for them too. Yeah,
that's a good trick. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but you can get audiobooks from your local public library. It's pretty sick.
Recently, Spotify just added audiobooks, and for most subscriptions, it's free.
Whoa! I wonder how
with the caveat you only get like 20 or 30 hours a month or something like that.
Okay, that's not bad. Oh yeah, look at this, audiobooks.
Depending on what subscription level you have. I think I have the family one that's like $15 or something.
Okay. I don't have any one. Like I don't pay for Spotify at all, but it's still showing up for me.
So maybe you have ads on them or something.
Yeah,
but even then, that's not bad because you don't have to wait. Like the library, you got to wait for the books to come through.
Oh my god! Wait, hold on. I was going to make a recommendation for this book that I've been listening to, and I paid for it, and it's for free on Spotify.
Oh, what book is it?
It's The Science of Storytelling. Going back to come full circle, I've been trying to get better at telling stories, so it's that's a recommendation for all listeners. Science of Storytelling.
I got to do a Siri again. Remind me to check out The Science of Storytelling book tomorrow.
Okay, I added it.
Great.
Nice.
You got to do a Siri. Well, we got to transition. I want to know what you've been up to. But first, our lawyer is requiring us to issue an apology for what Zach mentioned in last week's after show. He had a brief outburst about something, and we needed to address it. That's everybody who listened to the after show last week. Our sincere apologies. We don't condone any of the things that Zach was speaking about in last week's episode. And if you have no idea what we're talking about,
oh god,
go over to patreon.com/offthecutpodcast and check out after show episode 123. You'll know what we're talking about.
I didn't listen when I was editing the podcast. I didn't listen to that, but I think I said it, and then we just laughed for like 10 to 15 seconds solid afterwards.
Oh yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one.
Yeah,
we had a good time. Which we should also mention that next week, Tuesday the 23rd. Does that sound about right? Tuesday 23rd at around 8:15 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna be having the live hangout, the BYOC live Zoom Skype call, whatever it is, with all patrons. We're opening up to all levels of patrons next week. So yeah, it's gonna be busy. Gonna be a lot of people on there. We're excited for it. So make sure you mark your calendars. And if you want to join that, again, just become a patron, and then you'll be good to go. You get everything else: merch, Discord, all kinds of stuff. Or I guess we don't have merch anymore, but
wait, you can't get the windbreakers anymore.
Oh no, we do have the windbreakers.
Oh, thank God! Still got the windbreakers.
Windbreakers are on my website, I think.
Yeah. I think all the merch is on your website, isn't it?
Yeah, nobody's bought it though.
Yeah. Don't worry. I didn't think you were like holding out the massive merch sale dollars.
I think there was one person who got a windbreaker.
I think it was
this
me.
is like a year and a half. Was it you? No, I think Corey might have gotten one.
Oh, okay. Nice.
But anyway, Anyway, what have you been up to, Zach? Well, half an hour in. Let's talk about the
so
important
I
stuff.
told you last week I was like stuck on that project.
Yeah.
So I basically just shelved that one because I'm waiting for some parts to come in the mail that should, fingers crossed, make my life a little bit easier. So I switched gears and I've been working on this. Do you know? You're not going to know. It's going to be very unsatisfying. But do you know what a Raspberry Pi is?
Those miniature computer things.
Okay. So you do know. All right.
Yeah, come on. I'm not a complete jabroni.
So I had a video probably like, God, maybe even 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago at this point, where I made a little wood case for a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
And it was quite successful. So they came out with a new Raspberry Pi, the Raspberry Pi 5.
Okay.
So I bought one of those, and I've been embarking on a quest to basically see how much juice I can squeeze from this little raspberry.
Nice. No pun intended.
Yeah, so I've made a whole like water cooling setup for it. I custom fabricated like a copper block that sits right on the CPU to take away heat. So I'm having fun with it. It's kind of a silly video, but it's there's some good building in there.
So if I had to guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to attempt to make a gaming console out of one of these.
Yeah, of course. That's always the pretense. Like that's how you draw the people in.
So how much does one of these bad boys run you?
Raspberry Pi is not much. I think it's like $50 to $80.
Okay. And so what's your anticipation? Like what console do you think is going to max this thing out? Are we talking Nintendo? Xbox 360, PS5? What are we talking?
No. I think you got to temper your expectations a little bit based on its price. I'm hoping PlayStation 2 and then like Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo Wii.
Okay.
Yeah, probably original Xbox. It'll do original Xbox for sure. So yeah.
Okay. So out of the box, no mods, no upgrades. What do you think you could squeeze out of it?
Oh, that's a good question, and I don't actually know the answer to it. I haven't got that far in the video yet. I'm doing all the building stuff, and then I always do all the building stuff, and then at the end I do all the benchmarking. So, but there will be a section in the video like here's how it runs when you get it out of the box, and here's how it runs after doing all this crazy stuff to it. Because that's like the meat and potatoes of the video, right?
That's the nerds love that part.
Exactly.
Do you have people that pick you apart for your testing parameters? Like, oh, you should have tested it like this, and this.
You know what? Occasionally I'll get comments, but not really.
Okay.
I get like a little tiny criticisms here, but it's very rarely like super rude or anything like that. It's usually actually pretty good suggestions. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I will do that next time.
Right on.
Yeah.
So $80, $80 for this Raspberry Pi.
Something like that.
And then how much are you anticipating all of your like add-ons, accessories, upgrades going to cost?
Well, that's
maybe like $1,000 worth of upgrades.
Yeah, so here, no, it's not 1,000. It's probably, like $150 worth of upgrades or something like that. So not too crazy. So I got this. So this is a little pump, and so basically it's a pump and reservoir. So you fill this up with water. It pumps to this radiator here. There's a little fan at the front of the radiator that cools down the water, and then it pumps into the Raspberry Pi. So this is actually made for a 3D printer, and I had to like adapt it for this use case.
Okay.
And I think that was the most expensive thing, and I think that was like $80 or $90.
Okay.
So and then just like various.
It's going to be big.
Parts. It's going to be this is about the size of it. So it's going to sit inside. It's funny because you go from this little tiny thing to essentially
you go from a deck of cards. The Raspberry Pi is like a deck of cards, a wallet size.
Yeah.
To something that's about 2 tissue boxes, I would say.
Something like that. Yeah. This is a very early prototype, so I'm going to work on shrinking it down, but it's going to be quite a bit bigger. There's no way around it.
Okay. Now, would you say that is kind of like the budget, the cheapest way to get into making like your own video game console, or would you rather get an old system and mod an old system?
Well, oh, dude, that's how nerdy do you want me to get here?
I find it interesting because I don't do any of this stuff. I'm like, that's kind of neat.
So the hyper nerds out there will push up their glasses and say, actually, if you try to use a Raspberry Pi to emulate an old console, it's not quite the true experience.
Okay.
There will be little differences that you can notice here and there if you really dig into it. Like sometimes the sound doesn't sound perfectly right, or sometimes the way it renders the graphics is like slightly different.
Would somebody like me notice the difference?
No way.
Okay.
And even me, like I really have to you have to get out your magnifying glass and really look for the differences to find them. So I would say if I was going to give somebody practical advice, I would say, yes, certainly the Raspberry Pi 5 is, if you want to do anything less than like a PS2, that's the best way to do it. Okay. Or actually, I take that back. Your phone is probably the best way to do it. If you just get a little controller for your phone or something like that, it'll probably handle it just fine. But if you want something that's dedicated, its own little system, Raspberry Pi 5 is a great way to do it. Okay. The only reason to take like an old system and mod it is because, well, A, you're weird like me and you enjoy the process, or B, you have some sort of like, you want to historically preserve it and play it exactly the way it was when it first came out.
With like the original controller, still have that set-top box next to your TV and all that kind of stuff. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So why not just get a computer?
Could do a computer too. I mean, honestly, if you like your laptop, any laptop made in the last 10 years is probably just as powerful as a Raspberry Pi 5, probably more so. So that's always an option too. But if you want to have like a little dedicated box, like this is my retro gaming box, like that's the way to do it. But yeah, you can use your laptop, you can use your computer, you can use your phone. There's so many options these days.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're never going to run out of options for these game consoles and tech things to make.
That's my hope. I mean, one day. But it's funny because I can just like, I can either do like current stuff, like the Raspberry Pi 5 came out, I don't know, like 5-6 months ago. So that's kind of a new thing. Or I can go back and do an old thing. And there's like, there's different value, or there's like different pluses and minuses for both. There's weird avenues you can explore for both of them too. So yeah.
You need to do the Nintendo disk drive from the Nintendo 64.
Dude, okay, so yes, I want to do that. They are exceedingly expensive. I'm going to look one of these bad boys up.
But what if like you 3D print your own, where like you basically slap a Nintendo 64 on, like plug it in and like try to like make your own? Is there any way to do that? Or is it like a proprietary software thing that it runs on?
No. Okay, so here's the crazy thing about so first of all, a complete, I don't know if this one's not still in the box, but like a complete kit looks like it runs you about $7,000 for a Nintendo disk drive.
Whoa!
Yeah, here's one for $2,500. Here's one for $5,000. So there's various prices in there, but they're not cheap. Okay.
So for people who have no idea what we're talking about, on a Nintendo 64, if you flip it upside down, it has this little like toaster-looking port.
Yeah.
That nobody had any idea what the hell it was there for. It was there from the get-go when it first came out. Well, I guess it was correct me if I'm wrong, somewhere overseas in Japan, probably.
Yeah, Japan.
They like just kind of released this thing called the disk drive. And the idea was that you would like basically stack it underneath your Nintendo 64, and then you could actually put discs in it, right? But it just never really saw the light of day.
So they released it in Japan, but it sold very poorly, and they only ever made like, I think, a handful of games for it, maybe like 10 games for it or something like that. Okay. So today they are extremely rare. But so here's the thing about the Nintendo 64 disk drive. It's literally just a drive. So it's just a different way of getting games into the system. It doesn't actually add any like computational horsepower to the Nintendo 64. So I made that video, the modern Nintendo 64, a while ago. And I had this cartridge in it that allowed me to put an SD card in the cartridge and then play the games off of the SD card. So with that, with something like that, I can take all the Nintendo 64 disc drive games, put it on an SD card, and then play it on a normal Nintendo 64.
Ooh, that's
Because
neat.
so technically I already have done that. Although, you know what? I didn't bring it up in the video, so maybe I'll double back on that at some point.
So like Nintendo and PlayStation and whatnot, I don't know, like what, 5 years or so, probably longer than that. They made like the little mini consoles that they were like licensed by
Yeah.
Nintendo that they
Those are cool.
re-released.
Yeah.
Why did they not put their entire game library on those?
Great question. If I had to guess, I'd say it was probably just too expensive to license all the games.
But didn't they
there was-
own them all?
Well, no, they don't, because there's all these third-party
Companies.
developers. Yeah, so there's like Activision and EA and
Yeah.
Blizzard and all these other companies that make games and then publish them for the system. So Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft don't actually own those games.
Oh, that makes sense. Sense.
But you do still raise a good point, because you can't get every single Nintendo game on the SNES Classic. I think that's what they called it, or something like that. SNES Mini.
Sure.
They didn't even have all their own games on there, which they do own.
I guess that's what I'm getting at. Like,
Yeah.
I understand that you make a good point of different, companies making them, but if it's all owned by Nintendo, why wouldn't they have all?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a great question. It's certainly not a limitation of it would have cost them pennies to include all the games in terms of storage costs.
Right. It's not like you need a terabyte worth of storage to put all those games on there.
No. And there's actually people who take those mini consoles now and mod them so that they can put their own games on them. I don't know. That's something I've been meaning to look into that I haven't yet.
So it's just, I'll occasionally have this oh man, it would be so cool to be able to play this game as a kid.
Yeah.
But I'd play it for a week or two and I'd be like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, you realize pretty quickly that old games aren't as fun as new games. They're certainly not as fun as you remember them being.
It's a nostalgia factor.
Yeah, definitely.
Get a little hit of nostalgia and then you're like, I'm over it.
Yeah, you're like, okay, yeah. Now I remember why I stopped playing this game.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. So you got the video game console. Any other projects in the hopper? I know you got the one that's still on pause.
Yeah, I got the one that's on pause. I have this one that I've been wanting to do for the PlayStation 5. That's also a woodworking project, because it had bent wood lamination going on it. So maybe I'll start on that one soon. Ooh. I don't know. I've been in a little bit of a funk lately. I'm not sure which project to do. Oh, actually, let me run this one by you. This is one that I was doing a little research on. Did you ever own an iPod?
Of course. I had, I believe it was called an iPod Mini. It was a bright colored, aluminum one that was rounded and was heavy to get out.
Yeah. So there is a very dedicated scene to modding old iPods.
Stop it.
I know, right?
Stop it.
I stumbled upon it the other day. I was like, oh, that's dumb. And I was like, 10 hours later, I'm like, okay, no, this is actually sick.
Okay. So what do I get, out of a modded iPod?
Okay. So from what I've been able to piece together so far, you could have, a terabyte of storage.
Okay.
With SD cards instead of the old iPods used to have mechanical hard drives in them.
Really?
So yeah, you can switch
they were
over.
Mini ones. They were pretty small, right?
Yeah. They were very, very small hard drives. I think they were actually made specifically for iPods. So you can switch them over to use solid state media. So SD card. You can even put a drive from your computer in one of them, so that you have theoretically basically unlimited storage. Sure. You can add Bluetooth to them. You can add bigger batteries. You can add wireless charging. You can add a custom operating system to it, What else was there? And then you can also like change out all the parts. Like you can change, like the scroll wheel, the cover. You can get like
Sure.
clear plastic ones and different colors and stuff like that. And and you can convert them to run on USB-C instead of that old super wide
that 30-pin connector. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a headache.
Yeah. So I was thinking I might try and tackle one of those. There's not much building in it. It would like literally be just like a bunch of like soldering and stuff like that.
But it would be a nostalgia hit. I think that video would do well.
I've seen there's not like I kind of do this thing where I'm like I built a modern X. I've done that with a lot of thumbnails, and it usually seems to do pretty well. I've seen a lot of these videos. There's iPod modding videos out there that have millions of views that are, in my opinion, not very well like packaged. They don't have very good thumbnails. They don't have very good the production quality is quite low. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe there is like a 1 million view video in there somewhere.
And if it goes well, think of all of the iPods out there that you could mod. I mean, there's so many different
that's
generations
I didn't even think about
that.
Yeah.
And then you could get into the Zune. Although nobody gives a shit about the Zune.
That's the thing. You have to think because half the appeal of this, like I built a modern iPod, is like, oh, I had an iPod. I wonder. And then you get to geek out a little bit on like a little piece of nostalgia. If the person didn't ever own the thing, then it's like immediately you can't make that same nostalgia play if the person didn't own it. And nostalgia is I'm finding out is a great way to package a YouTube video.
I know. I mean, look at it in the music scene. How many bands with artists in the last 3 years or so have just happened to get together for reunion tours that are like selling out stadiums and stuff like that.
And it's all these bands that went away for like 15 years from our youth, know? Yeah.
And bands that said they're like, no, we will never get back together.
Totally. Oh, well, I saw Rage Against the Machines like a year and a half ago, which supposedly broke up and they were never getting back together. And
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I see. I'm mostly thinking of some smaller bands, or I guess. Can I think of anything off the top of my head? Like Blink 182.
Yeah, Blink 182. My friends are pestering me to go see Limp Bizkit this summer.
Oh, that would be a blast.
I know, right? I know.
Limp Bizkit's performing at the Ohio Reformatory Prison.
Really? No way. That's
swear to God, sick. In the lawn of the prison.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's what reminds me of. It was like this Metallica music video that was shot in a prison a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's the nostalgia thing plays. I've been trying to brainstorm a way to come up with a nostalgia-based video for like woodworking stuff, but I can't find anything. I know the Shopsmith stuff is hitting big right now. People are making all sorts of content about, just ragging on Shopsmith and everything like that, and it's interesting.
Yeah, true. John Malecki just did a Shopsmith thing, huh?
And I know Travis has made one too, where he actually got invited out to their factory and like toured and stuff like that.
Oh, really? Interesting.
It was kind of interesting, but it was kind of sad too.
Really? Why?
Like you're like, dude, I don't think this company is gonna like. It seems like it was like a pie in the sky expectations about how this was actually like.
Gotcha.
They're like, we're gonna bring this back, and I'm like, I don't think you are, man. I'm sorry.
Hey, look, they have a YouTube channel that's getting decent views.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
7 tools, one great machine. They were at Workbench. They were trying to get people. Okay, so what's a nostalgia play that you could do? I'm trying to think. I mean, you could build something that was very iconic from our childhood.
Treehouse.
I mean, dude, it's a modern treehouse would be...
That would be nuts.
That would be pretty sick. I would get seriously excited, but that would also be very hard. But
That would
tree
have
house
to
would
be a
awesome.
multi-part video series, almost like where
For
somebody's like, "I renovated my shop" or whatever. You'd have to be like, "All right, here's how I'm going to prep the tree in a video. Here's how I'm going to do this," and then you got to do one of those 2.5 hour long compilation
Smash
videos.
them all together at the end. You could be like, I built a wood shop in a tree.
Ooh, ooh,
And then
yeah.
you can joke around. Every time you need a piece of wood, you can just like reach outside, snap off a branch.
Bring in a whole walnut board.
Yeah.
I dig it. Yeah, I can't figure out how to cash in on the nostalgia train.
I'm gonna think on this. You need to like. I basically kind of just cracked it open with the video game stuff, and I didn't even really know that it was going to be so big when I first did it. I just kind of like I was like, oh, that sounds like kind of a fun project, and then the response I got to it was so good, and then I just kind of like kept. I probably did like 4 or 5 videos on that subject before I realized like, oh, people like these because of the nostalgia.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
And you got the nerds of like, well, how do you make it better? Like,
Yeah.
you've got it. You've crafted a nice
Oh.
pinpointed, tight niche, but also very open, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like you've drilled down and then found a way to spread out by still being tight. It's weird.
No. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. And now I'm kind of like I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, like video game stuff performs well, but what other stuff is there? So I'm like, I kind of want to take a chance on the iPod thing.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, if that does well, then maybe I look like, I don't know, maybe there's some other electronic. Maybe I do like do an RC car from our discussion a couple weeks ago.
Or like, do you have the ability to like you and Sophie buy a house or something and you're like, I'm gonna mod the kitchen, how to make a modern tech kitchen, like boom, my coffee machine raises out of the counter, like so you could like stuff like that, or like I'm modding my fridge or something like put a sweet touch screen in the front of your fridge. Or
I had an idea a while ago to mod my couch.
Oh, I don't know if I want to know.
I was gonna do. I had a car a long time ago that I put heated seats in. It didn't come from the factory with heated seats, so I got like aftermarket like heating pads and like installed those. It's like you could do the same thing in a couch. I was thinking I would replace the foam inside of it with memory foam. Like I basically just buy like a memory foam mattress and like cut it to the shape of the pillows and jam it in there. And then add some like USB chargers, maybe a little fridge.
Oh, you gotta have a fridge.
You gotta have a fridge for sure, right? So I did actually kick around that idea, but yeah, I don't know. There's no nostalgia, but there is kind of like a tech theme that could run through something like that.
Yeah, I can't think of a nostalgia thing. I know that Brad from Fix This Build That had a accidental nostalgia hit several years ago when he was like power washing a swing set. He found out that it was like the most popular swing set from like the 80s and 90s or something.
Oh,
so
really?
Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, I remember the swing set." Or, yeah. That's kind of cool.
Interesting. Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's like a good like outside the box thing that you might not have thought of otherwise. The restoration stuff does well too.
Yeah.
But I guess that's kind of like a lateral move for you or a horizontal move for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. And I don't. Yeah, I mean, like, what would I restore? Like an old hand tool or something like that, or like a cable saw. It seems out of my area of expertise. I will be curious to know how like shop renovation content does. So like when we move, I'm going to try to make a video that's like the whole move and setting up the new shop. And in that, I'm probably going to like, put in insulation, put up drywall, stuff like that. Like, I'm kind of curious to see how that does, if people find it interesting or the video tanks.
I think if you find a way to package it well, like,
it'll be like talking about like things I've learned and like the story of how this has all started and where I am now and kind of like that.
Yeah. I think there's definitely, I don't know, like, I keep thinking like you could package it as like, I don't know, like eliminating all the mistakes of your old shop almost.
Starting new.
Yeah, like correcting all my old shop mistakes or something like that. I don't know. There's something in there.
Something like one of the biggest issues was that I didn't have climate control. So sort of
here's my new air conditioning unit
for Mr. Cool, and do a
exactly.
dedicated video for that.
Yeah.
And then be like, do all the insulation and talk about how that's going to make a difference, and talk about bigger size, or setting up a new dust collector and all. I think there's a way to do it. I don't think I can drag it out into several videos though. It's going to be one video, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know. Sky's the limit as long as you can keep coming up with good hooks and storylines, right?
The one thing I know that people always watch is dust collection stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's so hot, but people love watching dust collection videos.
Yeah, I wonder. I guess it's kind of like it's very, I don't know. It's like very specific knowledge. Like it's a very relatable thing to not want to have a lot of dust in your shop, and it's also kind of this. You don't learn about it in school. Like there's not very many good resources for it online. I don't know.
It's interesting, but
I
think I've got ideas. So, how I was telling you what, like last week or so, or maybe the week before, I was kind of in this like rut as far as like, man, I don't know like what to make, what to go after now. Now I have too many damn ideas, and I'm like reining myself in to focus myself.
It's you always oscillate between one or the other as a creator, I think, right? It's always like, I don't know what I'm going to do next, or it's like, I cannot wait to get through this project so I can start on the next 20 I've already got planned out.
Right. So I already told you I have that tabletop made that was the one I'm going to retry where I carve it and fill it with epoxy and stuff like that. I literally got that out from like behind my bandsaw and stuff, put it out on the workbench. And then I looked down and saw like my little containers that I have, like my screws and stuff down there. And I got to thinking, man, I really want a better solution for this when I move the shop. So then I went inside, started modeling out this whole new like bank of cabinets and stuff. Nice. And then I started modeling these little, again, I got one here, these little brackets that you can like slide those Festool sustainers on.
Oh, neat.
And so they like it's basically like a plastic drawer slide.
Yeah, totally.
And then I went down this rabbit hole of, well, sometimes when I put containers in there, I just want to pull the container out, open it up real quick, grab something and put it back.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, what if I made, and that's what these little slits on the top and the bottom are. They allow you to basically like slide it back and forth.
So you put like a pan head screw in there and don't tighten it down all the way? Okay, cool.
And so it allows it to slide in and out. So I started thinking like, how can I make basically the same thing, but with a drawer slide? So I've been going through this whole like rabbit hole of 3D printing, designing these parts and to make this entire bank of cabinets. And I'm like, oh, I could even make that like a miter saw station. So I have all of my tools and stuff like underneath it on those little slide out rails.
Yeah.
And so I already have that like totally modeled up in Fusion. And now I'm like, oh, I can't wait to move. And like, I'm getting the steam going, right? So like when we move, I'm like, first project, boom, it's already designed. I already have the plans on Fusion. I literally I start going.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty sick.
And then I saw something pop up on Instagram. It was just like a coffee table or something that somebody built. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that is a dope coffee table. I don't need one right now, but why don't I model it and get ready to build it?
Yeah.
And so I messaged this guy. He's a pretty small account. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I messaged him. I was like,
I was going to search it.
I was like, hey, I saw this table and I really like it. What do you, or would you be okay if I built this on my YouTube channel? Obviously, give you credit for the inspiration.
Nice,
and I sent him a message earlier today, so I haven't heard back yet. But
he was like, "Screw you, design's mine."
He's like, "Fuck you! I saw your YouTube. It sucks." Jason Bent's channel is better than yours. I'm like, how dare you? But so I'm starting to design that on Fusion, and then like I have fun designing stuff on Fusion, like making it look good, and then figuring out how to like bring that to the real world and stuff like that. So I feel like I got some juice back, but I keep getting pulled between like each project. I'm like, damn it, Eric, focus on one thing.
Yeah, that's what I struggle with because I get pulled in a lot of different directions, but I always force myself to do just one thing at a time.
Yeah.
I'm halfway through this Raspberry Pi thing, and I'm like, I should order all the parts for the iPod project, and then I'm always like, no, just chill out, finish one video, and then you can start thinking about the next one. Because I know myself, and I'll end up with like a closet full of barely started projects, or just like all the parts for a project, right? So yeah.
But it feels good to be back, like inspired, excited about what I'm doing, rather than like getting up, sitting at the computer and going, oh my God, what the hell am I gonna do today?
Yeah.
You know. But so you said you feel like you're in a little bit of a rut right now? A little funk?
I just don't. I don't know. Yeah, just I don't know. I think that's just the emotional abuse I took on that last project where it didn't turn out. It's just like I have this crick in my neck because I was like leaned over my digital microscope, and it's like I don't know. I think just I got so frustrated. I spent 2 solid work weeks, like 5 days, 8-hour days, trying to get this stupid thing to work, and I just couldn't.
You still haven't figured out what you think you like bridged the connection on some sort of soldering thing?
I think maybe. I don't know. It's that's the thing. Like I don't even know where to begin troubleshooting it. Like how to isolate the variable that's causing me the issue. So that's what was so frustrating about it.
Did you like short a capacitor?
Maybe I like I could have like overheated a capacitor, or like these are like old electronics, so they weren't even working 100% to begin with. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you feel like you're gonna scrap the project?
No, I'm definitely I don't think we'll see. I ordered a tool that will allow me to test individual parts on it. So it should give me a better idea of where the problem is.
Okay.
I just have to wait a week or 2 weeks or however long it takes for that tool to get shipped in. And then I think I'll reopen I'm going to finish the Raspberry Pi video, then do that, and then maybe go on to the i5 project.
So worst case scenario, hear me out. Absolute worst case scenario. You put out the video with all of the progress that you have.
Yeah.
And talk about the struggles. Talk about like, hey, sometimes you get to the point where you're making these things and you're just stuck. Like you're screwed. You can't go any further, and just be like, guys, I failed on this one.
Huh. Yeah, do you think that? I don't know.
So remind me what it was again. I forget off the top of my head.
So it was an original Xbox.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And I was trying to add chips to the board, and like basically there's like I want to say there's at least 160 individual connections that have to be soldered together. And if any one of those is not properly soldered, then the whole thing won't work. Or if any of the chips that I bought off the internet are bad. That was the other thing. I was like, I'm using these chips that I bought off the internet. I don't even know if they work. Somebody could have sent me like bad chips.
Right.
So
not maliciously, but
not maliciously. It could be damaged in shipping or something. So I have 160 possible failure points, and then I have four chips that I don't necessarily know are good.
Okay.
So so I bought this tool that'll basically let me test each individual chip.
Okay.
So so once that comes in, I should be able to narrow down where my problem is and then solve the problem from there, hopefully.
I built a modern Xbox, and it did not go as planned.
Yeah. I mean, that book that I'm reading, or listening to, The Science of Storytelling, it's got me thinking. It's like the most important parts of the video should be the most challenging parts of the project.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like capture enough footage so that I can like, even when I'm like booting it up and I'm failing, I'm trying to like get my reaction and be like, oh fuck, like oh, there's
Right.
explicit, like oh fuck, it's in boot again, and like all these little things so that I can like properly show that later.
And then you have to just pull a Keith Johnson and just throw it across the floor and anchor, and that's the end of the video.
Yeah, well, but the thing, so sort of circle back to your idea of like
Like a fail video.
saying the fail video, I don't love that because there's no like moral to the story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's no, so one of the things they talk about in this book that I'm reading is like a good story has some sort of transformation in it, right?
Or resolution
like
or something, right?
yeah, like like okay, so this is very like beginner, but like you start a project, you don't know how to, let's say you don't know how to micro solder, you try, you fail, you try, you fail, you learn this little thing, you get a little bit closer, and then you fail, and then finally you get it in the end, and now you have the confidence of knowing how to micro solder. Like that's a very simple transition, but you have a character who starts not knowing a skill, and through these trials and tribulations comes out the other side with a new skill.
Makes sense.
Very basic, but like that is kind of like a complete loop, right? So I'm trying to incorporate more of those into my videos. Like, here's the problem I faced. Here's how I was able to overcome it. And there's something in it for the audience because they learn how I overcame it. And so for this, I don't want to say like, it was really hard and then I just quit because there's no transformation that happens there.
Yeah. It's almost like, what if you did that part of the video and then you're like, and 6 months later, I got up the gumption to really hammer it out. I got this, this little tester thing that's going to test everything.
Yes.
Found out that this one chip was busted. I replaced it, and boom, look at this.
Boom. And then, yeah. So I think that's much better. I think because there's a lesson in there you can say like, hey, you should take like, if it's really frustrating you and you're like not having fun with it, like shelve it for a little while and then come back to it. And then also here's this advanced technique for troubleshooting. And like, there's so much more to take away there than just being like, and then I threw the thing across the room because I got so angry.
Right.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting. Like if you get so fed up on this, keep the footage. Don't delete it.
Yeah.
Just come back to it in a little bit.
Yeah. I did that with my Nintendo Switch video, actually. That, like, I started that in September and then I finished it in May or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I was just having a hard time with it. I shelved it for a while, went on to other things, and I came back to it, and that video performed well. And people said, I got feedback from quite a few people who watched it. They said that, like, they liked that I showed the trials and tribulations, but I didn't over dramatize them. Like, I just, was like, here's the problem I faced, and here's the solution that I eventually found, and here's how I got there.
Yeah. It didn't work, and that's okay. You don't have to make a big scene about it, right?
Exactly, yeah. So it's not like, oh my God, my world's ending, but this was frustrating.
I'm never going to recover from this.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah.
Well, we want to give a huge shout out to all of our return. Well, we want to give a huge shout out to all of our patrons, but especially our returning top tier patrons.
Hell yeah.
We got Joe Welsh at Delaware Valley Workshop, Goblin Spanker. Yeah, Joe's hanging on live chat. Dan Armendrez, Corey Duvall, Dadu, and Josh at Sawdust Builds. Those are just some of the folks that are helping keep this podcast alive and supporting us over on patreon.com/offthecutpodcast. And we're going to head over to the after show right now, which is basically an entire another podcast exclusive for patrons at any level. Plus, you get tons of other perks of becoming a patron. So that's where we're going to be headed.
Like the aforementioned gift card to KM Tools.
Ooh. Or you can donate it back to the Katz Moses Woodworkers with Disabilities Fund if you're a class act like Corey Duvall.
Yeah, you can big dog everybody and be like, I don't even need it. I'd rather give it to charity.
That spicy note. I actually have something in the after show that I want to have to ask you about. Well, I guess I'll have to tell you about it because I already did it.
Okay.
And it's morally questionable.
Oh, I like this. I like this.
I think you're gonna like this, but I think we'll talk about it in the after show. So if you
hopefully,
want
I was going to say, hopefully, I don't say anything morally questionable in this after show.
Oh no, it's not on that same line. But if you want to know what Zach's talking about, check out episode 123's after show over on Patreon. It got a little off the rails, but it is what it is. So everybody, thank you so much for listening. As a reminder, do not listen to the Green Suiters podcast that is available on all streaming platforms. And definitely don't support them on Patreon at patreon.com/Green Suiters podcast. You do not want to do that.
Definitely don't. See you.
And we'll see you next week.